Let's see, Thunderburt, blah, 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 makes it Schwalbe's fastest mountain bike tire. That must be a typo. Let me fix that. Hi everyone, Mike here from Bikes by Mike with another cycling related video. Today it's once again time for a product review. I'll give you my long-term review of Schwalbe's fastest rolling mountain bike tire, the Thunderburt. It's a great tire, just don't even think about using it mountain biking. Okay, let's get to it. In today's video, I'll start off by reviewing the specs on this tire and explain where it sits within the Schwalbe tire lineup. I'll then talk about the target rider for this very trail-specific version. I'll then cover a bit of physics on bike movement, which will help explain why the Thunderburt performs well in some areas and poorly in others. Next is my long-term review, and I'll wrap things up with my rating and final thoughts. First off, this is a completely independent and unbiased product review. I'm not sponsored by Schwalbe. I didn't receive any money or freebies for this review. I haven't been in contact with them. I purchased these tires with my own money, so if I don't like them, I'll gladly tell you so. By the way, I don't like them. Schwalbe has 4 cross-country specific tires within their mountain bike lineup. While all these tires are classified as XC Marathon, the Thunderburt is the only one with a semi-slick tread pattern, so its knobs are much smaller than the others. Now, this minimalist tread pattern does make for one of the lightest and fastest rolling mountain bike tires you'll find, but it has limitations as well, which I'll get to shortly. The Thunderburt is available for both 27.5 and 29-inch rims, tire widths of 2.1, 2.25, and 2.35 inch, and a choice of standard black or transparent sidewalls. All versions are rated tubeless easy, which other brands call tubeless ready. This simply means that the tires can't be run dry and must be used with sealant. Tires are constructed with their 8x speed rubber compound. You also have a choice between their Super Ground or Super Race tire casing, both at 67 ends per inch or threads per inch. The Super Race is a bit more race oriented and does come with a very small weight penalty. The specific Thunderburt version I've been riding on for the past 3 months is a 2.35 inch wide 29er in their Super Ground tire casing. Black sidewalls, which weigh 745 grams per tire. Tubeless easy setup and 8x speed rubber like all of the versions. The Thunderburt retails for $98 US or $135 Canadian. I've ridden this 2.35 inch version of the Thunderburt for the past 3 months, but prior to this I rode the 2.25 inch Thunderburts for the previous 5 years, so I've tested them out over many miles of trails. The tread pattern is similar yet different to what you'll find in other semi-slick cross-country tires. It's similar in that every XC race tire will have a low-profile tread down the center of the tire. In the case of the Thunderburt, there are small, tightly packed knobs, clearly designed for hardpack but not overly technical terrain. But many of the pure XC race tires out there, like the Vittoria Torino XC Race and the Maxxis Aspen ST, utilize this low-profile tread pattern throughout the entire width of the tire, including the curved edges of the sidewall. The Thunderburt is unique in that Schwalbe has built these tires with aggressive edge shoulder studs, which stick out a lot from the tire casing. And because of that, these tires provide much better cornering grip than smaller studded tires, but they don't slow you down when going straight and fast. It's a very good tread pattern. Now let's talk about the intended use and intended rider for the Thunderburt. Just like other tires with a semi-slick tread pattern, like the Vittoria Torino XC and the Maxxis Aspen, the Thunderburt is advertised as an XC mountain bike tire. But the fact is that very few mountain bikers will be happy using this tire on cross-country trails. Maybe only 5% of riders, and even among those of us that like to race. If you look at what the pros are using on the XC World Cup Tour, they're generally going with a tire having a more aggressive tread pattern and wider than the 2.35 inch width that the Thunderburt maxes out at. Something that looks more like the Maxxis Aspen or the Maxxis Recon Race. By the way, I'll be reviewing those tires in a future episode, so stay tuned. The Thunderburt really should be marketed as a gravel tire, as that's where it'll excel. On fast and flowy gravel roads with moderate climbs and descents. Except for smooth and flowy hardpack cross-country trails, semi-slick tires like the Thunderbird are actually going to slow you down rather than allow you to carry speed. Let me explain. So bear with me. Before I tell you how the Thunderbird's performed, I need to explain the physics behind forward motion. Well, I don't really need to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because this will explain why a super light and slick tire like the Thunderbird can actually slow you down. Zip published a white paper called Total System Efficiency, which explained what makes for a fast wheel and fast tire. But let me try to explain it myself. It relates to Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. So in the case of a rider and a bike, you have the vertical force applied by the bike equal to the force of the ground pushing back on it. The same is true for the horizontal forces we experience when riding our bikes. You have the forces pushing us forward, basically the power we are putting through the pedals to the drivetrain to launch us forward. These are propulsive forces. They are equally matched by those forces resisting movement, known as impeding forces. So you have a simple equation of the propulsive forces equal to impeding forces. Impeding forces arise from wind, gravity, rolling resistance, vibration, and inertia. While we can't change the forces of wind and gravity, our choice of tires does impact rolling resistance, vibration, and inertia. Wider tires and a less aggressive tread are two ways rolling resistance can be reduced. And a good way to reduce inertia drag is to reduce the weight of the wheel. So going with a lighter tire is one way to accomplish this. So far, this all points to the Thunderbird being a fast in all conditions tire, until you consider vibration loss. Vibration loss refers to the force opposing forward motion when the tire rolls over small and large bumps. And this type of energy loss can be significant on a bike. At some point, the tire can't fully deform around bumps, and the impact causes the tire to bounce up and down, and to also transfer some of this vertical movement through the handlebars and into the rider. As cyclists, we want to transfer all of our watts into forward motion, so any up and down motion is a waste of energy. How much does this energy wastage impact speed? It's quite simple. As stated in the Zip white paper, for a fixed power input at the crank, cycling speed is inversely proportional to the sum of impeding forces. So let's assume, hypothetically, that by choosing a more shock-absorbing tire, one can reduce vibration loss so that the sum of all impeding forces is reduced by 2%. That will result in a corresponding 2% increase in speed. And not only will you be gaining this free speed, but your body won't fatigue as quickly as you won't be absorbing as much vibration. And that is why over rough terrain, an otherwise super light and low rolling resistance tire can actually make you slower than a heavier, beefier tire. That extra rubber and other shock absorbing materials used in beefier tires will be better at dampening and deforming around bumps and go further to mute trail vibration. This is a difficult tire for me to judge since it's so trail specific, but I'll break it down into 4 areas: rolling resistance, traction, ride feel, and durability. Let's start with rolling resistance. With small knobby treads and weighing in at a stealth 745 grams, this is an extremely fast rolling tire. But, only on super smooth and hard-packed trails or gravel roads. For more technical riding, especially trails with lots of rocks and roots, I find the vibration loss of the Thunderbird to be significant. This results in a tire that is noticeably slower than heavier XC tires. Looks can be deceiving, and just because it looks fast doesn't mean it is fast. As for traction, these tires have surprisingly good traction for a semi-slick tire, more than what you'd expect, especially when cornering. The tight tread pattern does mean that the knobs are prone to get packed with mud, but these aren't the tires you're going to run in wet conditions anyways. Ride feel is not harsh, but not great either. It's a 67 TPI tire, and not surprisingly, doesn't feel anywhere near as supple as a 120 TPI tire like the Maxxis Aspen. And since it has very little rubber tread, it doesn't even have a thick rubber barrier to mellow out the ride. I've ridden them at every possible combination of tire pressure, and nothing made them feel like I wanted them to feel. I landed on 20 psi for the rear and 19 for the front, as producing the best results for my 70 kilogram body weight. I also noticed no improvement in the ride feel or performance going from their 2.25 to 2.35 inch wide tires. Last is durability. I'm really impressed with the durability of the Thunderbolts for such a minimalist tire, both in terms of puncture resistance and longevity of the tread and sidewalls. Better than most lightweight tires. So to summarize, these are the qualities I like with the Thunderbolts. They are very low rolling resistance tire, provided you're only riding on smooth trails. They are among the lightest tires in their class. They have exceptionally good traction for a semi-slick XC tire. And lastly, they are durable. What I don't like is their poor vibration damping. Rolling speed is significantly reduced on rough terrain, and it's not the most supple XC tire out there. Overall, I give it a score of 6 out of 10. If this was a gravel-specific tire, I would rate it higher, but it's not. It's branded as a mountain bike tire, and that's the basis for my rating. So that is pretty much it for my review of the Thunderbird mountain bike tire. A tire I wish I had not used for 5 years, as there are plenty of better options out there. But if you're stuck with them, slap them on a gravel bike. That's where they belong. Am I being too hard on Schwalbe? If you've ridden the Thunderbirds, please share your comments below. That's all I got for today, folks. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you're not a subscriber to this channel, please subscribe, as allow me to produce more content for all of you. See you next time. Happy rolling.